Mom found out about Dad's secret child who was 8 years old. She was furious and said she was leaving him, taking nothing. I convinced her to stay this time because I knew what was going to happen. Dad is very sick and doesn't have long to live. Once he's gone, everything he owns will belong to Mom and me. Lila, if Mom and Dad separate, who do you want to live with? Mom asked me this again, and I didn't even have to think about it. I told her firmly, Mom, don't get a divorce. Tears started to fill her eyes. You know your dad's other child is almost the same age as you. How can I just ignore that? If I leave, we won't have to see him anymore. Come with me, Lila. I'm all you need. Mom, no, I said. Why? She asked. Because I've been given another chance at life. I explained to her that in my past life, they got divorced, and Mom left with nothing. After fighting for custody of me, everything they had built together, the house, the money, the company, went to Dad's other child and his mother. 2 months after the divorce, Dad died from a terminal illness. He only revealed the truth because he was dying, setting up a future for his other child without sharing it with Mom. He fought for custody of me, leaving Mom no choice but to give up everything they had worked for. The moment their divorce was final, he married the other woman. After he died, she and her son inherited everything, leaving us at their mercy. They ruined Mom's businesses. Even when she tried to sell things on the street, they sent thugs to stop her. To support me, Mom had to take on degrading jobs and eventually ended up homeless. The other woman tormented Mom for 10 years until, on my 18th birthday, she jumped off a building. Even after Mom died, they didn't stop. They paid bullies at school to make my life miserable, spreading rumors that I was the illegitimate child and Mom was the one who broke up a family. Alone and heartbroken, I was hit by a speeding truck in a daze. The same money that ruined us came from Dad's inheritance. This time, I'm going to protect Mom. No awful man will win. Mom, do you believe in dreams? I told Mom everything that had happened before. She said softly that she would never humiliate herself or leave me behind. I get it, but when people are desperate, they might cling to anything, even if it's terrible. Because Dad cheated, Mom lost interest in the company. Dad used this time to pretend he wanted to make up with her, while secretly taking control of the business. Mom was doubtful, but she loved me more than anything. Even if it seemed like a dream, she checked the facts. Mom went back to the company. That night, she came home with Dad. His face was tense and unhappy. I went up to him. Dad, are you a cheater? He was so angry he almost couldn't breathe. People online say a cheating man is like used goods. No matter how much you might have liked him, don't touch him. Mom quickly covered my mouth. Less internet, Lila. Don't repeat that nonsense. I nodded quickly. Mom let go, and I asked, Mom, Dad, are you getting divorced? Mom laughed. And of course not. I've forgiven Dad. We're staying together. Dad's face looked like he'd been punched. He scolded me and didn't eat dinner. Mom's phone buzzed while she was in the shower. I checked it, of course. It was the other woman, Nora. She was trying to provoke Mom, sending her pictures of her and Dad together, pushing her to get a divorce. She made fun of Mom, saying she couldn't satisfy Dad like she could. Nora claimed Dad truly loved her and blamed my grandparents for forcing Dad to marry Mom. I texted back for Mom. I don't believe you. Is your photo edited? I remember my husband has a big birthmark on his left cheek. Nora then sent a full video as proof. The high-quality video clearly showed Dad's left side. It made me want to throw up. I swallowed my disgust, downloaded it, and shared it using Mom's account. After dinner, I uploaded it to my computer, blurred out the important parts, and shared it online. I wrote, Auntie's got moves, Mom doesn't, so now Dad wants a divorce. What should I do? Lila doesn't want to be without Dad. I'm not even 9. They won't put me in jail for posting bad stuff, right? Dad played lovey-dovey with Mom while Nora tried to cause trouble so they could get a quick divorce. Their plan was obvious. I knew Dad would be angry, but I didn't expect him to react so strongly. He slapped me, and 2 of my teeth flew out. It hurt so much, but it was nothing compared to being hit by a truck. That pain was much worse. Mom attacked him, scratching him and giving him a black eye. He told me to delete the video. I did, but who knows how many people had already saved it. Some of my friends' moms are always online, loving gossip. I bet they wouldn't let him down. Dad blamed Mom. Look what you've taught her. He stormed out. My mouth was full of blood. Mom cried and wanted to take me to the hospital. I refused. Mom, whenever you're in trouble, go find a police officer. Mom wanted to take me to the hospital first, but I insisted and dragged her to the police station instead. The whole way there, my hand was covered in blood. Once inside, I finally cried loudly. With my mouth full of blood, I shakily reached out to a nice policewoman, holding the 2 teeth I had been clutching. Ma'am, Lila wants to report something. This might have been Dad's first time in a police station, and it was for hitting his own daughter. He was always so proud and successful, being humiliated like this must have been a first. His face was all different shades of purple and blue. I had lost 2 teeth, and my face was swollen. The policewoman said my injuries were serious enough to get Dad detained for 5 days or fined, if Mom and I insisted. Honestly, I'd love to see Dad in jail. It would also give Mom 5 days she could really use. Dad tried to use some private video of me against me. I quickly turned on my kid's phone, found the video of Nora and Dad, and showed it to the officers with the brightness turned all the way up. It was supposed to be private, and there was Nora saying how Dad liked her skills and wanted Mom to hurry up and divorce him because they had a son together. Even though Dad is pretty much a bad person, Lila doesn't want them to divorce. Lila doesn't want to be without a dad. She just wants some help from family. Talking about it made my tears fall down my swollen cheeks like rivers. If there had been a hole in the floor, Dad would have jumped right in. After that embarrassing scene, the officers kindly explained that posting that kind of stuff online is illegal. Since I'm young and didn't know better, they let me off with a warning because I deleted it quickly. But now, everyone knew Dad cheated. They looked at him with even more disgust. Because Mom and I insisted, and the evidence was clear, Dad had to serve 5 days. Trading 2 teeth for Mom to get that time? Totally worth it. Mom had bigger things to deal with now. After a doctor's visit, I convinced her to go to the company. I told her about a few key people who were related to Nora. Mom couldn't wait. She got a couple of strong female bodyguards to watch over me before rushing to work. Dad is what you'd call a real jerk. He came from nothing, supported only by his widowed mother's hard work. Mom's family wasn't rich, but Grandpa's old job got him a decent apartment in the city. After they graduated and got married, Grandpa sold that apartment to give them money to start with. With that money, their small shop grew into a factory, now worth almost $1 billion. Mom is smart and keeps the business running smoothly, but she's very emotional. In my past life, Dad made her feel guilty and tricked her into leaving with nothing. She thought she could start over, but things changed quickly. With me in tow and Nora chasing us, even surviving was hard, let alone starting over. Kids are a weak spot for most moms. Without me, she'd never give up what she built. This time, I won't let that happen again. I'm protecting Mom in this life. After 5 days in jail, Dad probably hated us even more. When he got out, he went straight to his love nest with Nora and their child. That video made him the company joke. Mom said his first day back was like a gorilla walking into a room, everyone whispering and staring. Some were openly rude, rolling their eyes at him. Fresh out of jail and faced with mockery, he lost his temper at work, nearly firing people left and right. Of course, Mom stopped him. Once she fired Nora's relatives from the company, he fought with her. No more pretending. He couldn't sweet-talk Mom into leaving now. He offered Mom half of everything for a peaceful divorce. But Mom learned from Dad's doctor that even with successful surgery, he didn't have long. She wasn't interested in peace. All this confirmed what I'd been telling her. She wouldn't trust Dad again. Dad knew he was running out of time. Continuing this fight wasn't worth it to him. But with Mom refusing to separate peacefully, he filed for divorce. Mom held my hand, crying to the court staff. Even though he cheated, we were ready to forgive. Our bond was strong. Why end it over a mistake? Breaking up a marriage is worse than tearing down 10 temples, she pleaded against the divorce. I cried too. Dad, Lila doesn't want you to go. Dad looked so frustrated. He couldn't prove their marriage was beyond saving, just that he couldn't control himself. Yet we were willing to forgive. Mom's kindness covered his mess. She just wanted him back home. His first divorce attempt failed. If Mom stands her ground, he's stuck for 6 months before trying again. But he knows he doesn't have that long. Mom said Dad had been secretly moving company funds to support Nora and their child. He was worried they wouldn't get anything after he was gone. Secretly, he even wrote a will, leaving his share to his illegitimate child. I'm really worried, asking my mom, "Why didn't you stop Dad?" She told me to stop overthinking. She said she'd handle things and wouldn't let anyone take advantage of us. I told Mom all the things I knew, in detail. Dad can't fool her anymore, and I believe she won't be at a disadvantage. In my past life, Mom and I suffered a lot. It's not that I'm cruel, but I don't want to give a single penny to that woman and her child. Dad's actions really disappointed me. He wouldn't come home, so I had to go to the place where he lived with Nora and her child. I knew where they were staying. He set them up in one of the nicest villa areas in our city. I had been there before in my past life. But back then, I was there to beg Nora. I knelt at their villa door, pleading with her to leave Mom and me alone. But she just pushed me to the ground, her fancy high heel digging into my face as she laughed. She said it was karma, saying my mom was shameless for interfering in their love. Her shoe heel hurt my face, and some people watching spat at and insulted me after hearing her. She said she'd leave Mom alone if I knelt to her, and I actually did. She laughed even more, holding her son with joy. Looking at her fake, innocent face nearly made me sick. Now it's my turn to get some payback. With Mom's bodyguards, I walked from the gate to their villa, showing everyone pictures of her and Dad. Their door was wide open. The woman who used to show off in front of Mom and me was watering flowers in the front yard with Dad's son. It looked so peaceful. "Nora, Auntie," I called. Nora froze when she saw me, and then panic showed on her face when she noticed all the bystanders with kids. They say her husband's always away, and she said it's because he's busy with business trips. But it turns out she's just a mistress after all. Shameless. You'd never guess, looking so gentle on the outside, what she really is, someone remarked. "Looks can be deceiving," another chimed in. "Some good-looking people are devils in disguise. We didn't know before, but now we do. Let's not associate with her, or she'll influence our kids." The chatter brought Nora back to reality. She pretended not to recognize me and insisted I had the wrong person. Nobody believed her. I had shown them the photos. The crowd's comments got meaner. Enraged and embarrassed, she yelled at us to leave, and I wiped my tears and pleaded, "Nora, Auntie, please don't make Dad divorce Mom. If you leave Dad, I can give you money as much as you want. Isn't it Dad's money you're after? I've got lots of pocket money." I smashed my piggy bank on the ground, coins scattered everywhere. I picked them up, offering a handful to her. The onlookers' disgust only grew louder. Her son, Ivan, rushed to hit me, and I yanked his ears so hard he screamed. Nora tried to step in, but my bodyguard stopped her. I cried and attacked, scratching, kicking, and clawing. I was like a furious little animal determined to hurt Ivan. "If it weren't for you, Dad wouldn't have left me. You took my dad. It's your fault." I had a growth spurt early, and a shorter Ivan was no match. I went after him relentlessly. He wasn't my brother. He was a devil, born with sin. He and his shameless mother took everything from Mom and me and had the nerve to turn on us. To fix Nora's reputation, Ivan, getting smarter, paid people in my school to spread rumors that Mom broke up their family, driving Dad to his death. He even got school bullies to lock me in bathrooms, shred my books, accuse me of cheating, and splash me with food waste on my way home. He was rotten to the core. I wasn't going easy on him just because he was a kid. By the time Dad showed up, Ivan was a mess with a bruised nose. Nora cried over her son while Dad raised a hand to hit me. My bodyguard shielded me, ready to take him down if he tried anything. I peered between their arms and yelled at Dad, "If you want to go to jail again, go ahead and hit me. Come on, do it. You knocked out 2 of my teeth last time, trying to hit me again. I just want to protect our family. What's wrong with that? You're the shameless one, hanging out with other women. I'm cursed to have you as a dad." The crowd was huge, surrounding us completely. They all condemned Dad and Nora for being so disgraceful. Now their attention and judgment were on Dad and Nora. My words made Dad clutch his chest, visibly shaken, and he fainted, falling into the garden. I didn't think Dad would be so fragile as to faint like that. I immediately cried out and called 911. When the ambulance arrived, Nora tried to take her bruised son with us to the hospital, but I shoved her away. Dad ended up hospitalized with complications from his stress. His cancer had spread further. Doctors said if he didn't have surgery immediately, he might not make it through the month. Even if the surgery was successful, he might only have a 30% chance of surviving. At most, he'd live another year or so. When Dad woke up and tried to scold us, Mom slapped him hard. "Since you're already in bed, why not just calm down?" Dad was furious, but he's so weak now that he gets out of breath just walking a few steps. How could he be a match for Mom? I pushed him back onto the bed and told him what the doctor said, asking for his opinion. I don't know if he had surgery in his past life, but he didn't last long. He died pretty quickly. Dad's face was pale. You could tell he was upset, but what did it matter to me or Mom? Either way, his options were limited. He wasn't escaping death anytime soon. Eventually, he chose to have the surgery. I wasn't surprised. A guy like him, who's scared of dying, wouldn't pass up even a small chance to keep living. Grandma passed away a while back, so he only has me and Mom as close family now. Mom signed the consent form for his surgery. He wanted to see Nora and Ivan before the operation, but Mom flatly refused. He tried to call them, but Mom had taken away his phone too. He cursed and smashed everything in the room. I held Mom's hand. Maybe if Dad wants to see them that badly, we should let them come. Mom was confused. She couldn't stand that mother and son, but seeing how much I insisted, she agreed. Nora came to the hospital with Ivan and broke down crying on Dad. Coincidentally, the doctor came by for rounds. I took it upon myself to introduce Nora and her son. With everyone staring, Nora's face was as awkward as could be, especially since her and Dad's son didn't look much younger than me. Dad's face was just as bad. His reputation, built up over the years, crumbled during this whole ordeal. I tearfully begged the doctor, even though Dad's done terrible things, Lila doesn't want him to die. "Please, sir and ma'am, save my father." Dad turned green with shame. It was just getting started. Mom called some company executives to visit Dad as soon as the doctor left. They showed up. Mom called some company executives to visit Dad as soon as the doctor left. They showed up. Nora tried to leave with Ivan, but Mom's hired guard stopped them. "If Dad wants you here, I might as well stick around." After the company folks left, Dad's classmates showed up. Grade school, middle school, high school, and college classmates all came by. Mom reached out to everyone she could. A wave of visitors came, and Mom always made sure to introduce them. Dad's dignity was stripped bare. His social death was a reality. Nora wasn't faring much better, and Ivan was sulking in the corner. Mom took a sip from her thermos and said, "We have some distant relatives back home. If you want, Nora can bring her child over tomorrow." Dad weakly told Nora and Ivan to leave. Finally, Dad settled down. Waiting for the surgery was long and stressful. Maybe Dad was just bored or getting ideas. He clutched my hand and pleaded, "Lila, Ivan is your brother. He's my only son, the heir of our family. Can't you treat him better?" I pulled back, shocked at how deeply he favored boys. I pulled out the 2 teeth he knocked out of me before and dangled them in front of him. "Do you think that's possible?" Enraged and embarrassed, he retorted, "Which parents haven't disciplined their child? I've treated you more than well. Look at the girls back in our hometown. How many live as well as you do? You don't know how lucky you are." His words disgusted me. "Dad, I think you're shameless. You started your business with Grandpa's help and cheated on Mom while she was pregnant. You have a love child just 6 months younger than me. Now you're dying and still trying to trick Mom into leaving with nothing, just to make room for your illegitimate son. You say I've been treated well, but I haven't felt it even once. You think you're so cultured and sophisticated, but your brain's stuck in backward traditions, trying to take everything that's rightfully Mom's to give to your son. I've never seen an old man as pathetic as you. If people like you don't go to hell after death, who would?" Dad pointed a trembling finger at me, which I slapped away. "Oh, remember how you taught me? Using your finger to point is just plain rude. You, you, you..." he stammered without finishing his sentence. I stuffed an unpeeled apple into his mouth to silence him. Shut up, you jerk! Trying to brainwash me into treating your bastard well? You overestimate yourself. If I didn't remember my past life, I might have believed his nonsense. Finally, the surgery day arrived. He was wheeled into the operating room and Mom and I waited outside. Knowing his fate from my previous life made me oddly calm, maybe even a little expectant. To my surprise, Nora showed up with Ivan. I stood up and Ivan quickly hid behind Nora. I scoffed. Coward. Mom gave a blank glance at Nora but didn't speak. Nora nervously approached. I'm here to see your husband. Mom treated her like air, not sparing her a second glance. From morning to afternoon, the surgery light finally changed. Shortly after, the doctor came out with a serious face and looked at me and Mom with sympathy. Say what you need to say. From behind, I heard a wail. Nora was on the floor, crying loudly. The surgery was a failure. He was brought back to the room. The doctor said he doesn't have much time left and advised us to start arranging his affairs. Dad lay pale, wrapped in the shadow of death. Seeing Nora and Ivan made his eyes light up in a shocking way. Ivan! I slammed the room door shut. Get lost, little brother. Go home and wait for death. We put Dad back in his original room, and Mom started organizing his funeral arrangements. She talked right in front of him about how many wreaths we needed and what kind of urn to use. Whenever I thought of the tragedy Mom and I went through in the past life, seeing Dad all miserable now gave me some twisted satisfaction. It's summer break for me, plenty of time to hang around with Dad. I sat by his hospital bed, rambling on about household stuff. Nora and her kid came by again, but Mom kicked them out. You know how she's living these days? She's like a freaking public enemy in that fancy neighborhood you put her in. She wants to move out, but Mom froze all your assets. Her secondary card must be useless by now. Once your funeral's done, Mom's going to go to court to get back every last cent you spent on her. She'll make her pay it all back. Dad just stared at me, rasping out Ivan's name. He's on his deathbed, and he's worried about his illegitimate son out there. I couldn't help but laugh coldly. Do you think everything's all good because you wrote a will? Whether that will even hold legal weight is a whole other thing. Sure, people say illegitimate children get inheritance rights, but who's proving Ivan's yours? You think that hush-hush DNA test you did means anything? Mom talked to a lawyer. Your little test isn't worth a damn. Mom's got the whole funeral set up for you already. Without her and my okay, Nora can't even get a legitimate DNA test done for Ivan. There's no way they're getting any of what's ours. Dad shook and twitched for a while before he calmed down. His eyes were full of hate, and if looks could kill, I'd have been dead 1,000 times over. What did we do wrong? We just don't want anyone taking what's ours. If Dad had any conscience in our past life, if he hadn't screwed Mom over so badly, we wouldn't have struggled so much. We ended up like that because of him. I met his gaze and told him, just wait and see. He passed away that night. Those last days weren't easy for him. Maybe if I hadn't set him off, he could have hung on another day or two. Yeah, I admit it, I did it on purpose. I didn't want him going easily. Why should he get to escape after all he did to hurt Mom and me? I wasn't about to let him get everything he wanted, including thinking about Nora and her kid right till the end. Mom organized his funeral smoothly. Coming back from the crematorium, we ran into Nora and Ivan. When they found out Dad was gone, they were absolutely heartbroken. Hard to say how much of it was real, but with Dad not around to support them, maybe they felt something genuine. Mom didn't stop them from attending the whole funeral. Once we finished with Dad, the inheritance issue came up. Nora claimed Ivan's dad's legitimate child and wants his share. But talk is cheap, she's got no proof, and we're not acknowledging it. Dad's ashes couldn't exactly do a DNA test now, could they? Not only is she getting 0 from the supposed inheritance, but she's also got to pay back all the money spent on them. Mom submitted all the evidence she had gathered. Every dime Dad spent on them was communal property with Mom, so Nora had to return it. First, the house under Nora's name, then those hefty bank transfers, and even all the jewelry and luxury items Dad bought her. The evidence was solid. It wasn't going to fly under the guise of a gift. Nora was all over the place. Someone advised her to bring in a reality TV show that deals with family drama to pressure us. She sobbed on camera about how heartless mom was, chasing them out after dad's death. She thought public pressure would break us down. How naive. Does she think everyone's going to feel sorry for her messed up story? Never seen someone so willing to put their dirtiest laundry out there, playing the sympathy card, but we're the real victims here. Mom spoke up, telling a sad story to the mediators. She said that Lila was just a little older than their child, and that they'd freeloaded under her nose for so long. Mom was working her hands to the bone for the family business during her maternity leave. She told them about risking it all, handling finances, purchases, customer service, and vehicle scheduling. As soon as she was cleared, she was riding her scooter in pouring rain to handle taxes, refusing to spend on a cab, just waiting under a bridge with her kid. Entrepreneurship is tough. Those were real stories from Mom's life. By the end, even Mom had tears in her eyes. The success she achieved wasn't handed to her. Nora only saw the shine, not the grit behind it all. While Mom was fighting for the business, Dad found time for his affairs. How can you not be furious? Mom's just holding on to what's legally hers, and there's nothing wrong with that. Nora then shifted gears and claimed she had been tricked by Dad. Hadn't known he was married. When Ivan was born, Dad was in his 30s, with a growing career, not a bad looker, and couldn't be around often. Why on earth did she assume he was single with that setup? Everybody knows the score. That kind of story only works on kids. Her denial was weak. On camera, she begged Mom to show some mercy to her and the child for Dad's sake. We were already so well off. She didn't ask for Ivan to inherit Dad's part of the fortune, just a tiny bit from Mom. That wouldn't even matter to us. She painted a very pitiful picture. But unfortunately, the decision was up to Mom, not the mediators or photographers. After Mom finished talking about past events, she laid out the evidence of Dad's money being spent on Nora in front of the cameras. Millions on villas, constantly buying her luxury cars worth hundreds of thousands, spending tens of millions in total. Even Ivan's elite school was dozens of times more expensive than my elementary school. Their lifestyle was way more extravagant than me and Mom's. Broadcasting this mediation show did nothing for Nora. It even brought her a bunch of backlash. Curious folks tracked down her social media account. Almost every post flaunted her lavish lifestyle, luxury homes, cars, jewelry. She shopped like crazy whenever she felt down and took spur-of-the-moment trips. One day she'd fly to Tokyo for sushi, the next she'd feed pigeons in London. She put herself out there as a pampered person who had it all. By flaunting her wealth, she gained over 1 million followers, with many expressing envy. But the stark contrast in perceptions led to countless criticisms, with a horde of users trashing her on her platform. Probably unable to withstand the backlash, Nora swiftly wiped all her posts and went private on her account. I only kept tabs on them, occasionally. Knowing they were doing poorly made me feel better. After a drawn-out legal battle over half a year, her villa and all her luxury assets were taken. All the money spent needed to be returned within a set period. Mom quickly sold off the villa and the buyer kicked them out. Ivan could no longer afford the elite school. Soon he transferred to a fairly average private elementary school. Nora, dependent on Dad financially, had no job and no income. She had always been lavish, and the little money she had wasn't enough. Now they were the ones left homeless. Due to failing to pay back the owed money, Nora became a credit defaulter. Despite living lavishly for years, she didn't have any skills to support herself. One bitter winter day, Nora, dressed poorly, came with Ivan to our place. She cried her eyes out, begging Mom for forgiveness. I stepped forward, offering her cash if she'd kneel to Mom. Hesitant at first, Nora kneeled with Ivan in front of Mom. Mom didn't expect that, so she quickly stepped away. That's human nature, I guess. No matter what, Mom wouldn't degrade herself to insult another woman. I pulled out a card and tossed it to Nora, telling her that there were $30,000 on it and she should change Ivan's surname. In the past, that amount would have been pocket change to her, but not anymore. It was now a small fortune. She did change Ivan's surname and sent us a photo for proof. I made a point to take that photo to Dad's grave and burn it. I wondered if he could see it. If he could, he'd probably be furious. Before he died, he planned for that son to take from me and Mom. Now, it only took $30,000 to have Nora change Ivan's last name without a second thought. I urged Mom to change our surname too. It was a final break from Dad from the past life. Later, Mom mentioned seeing Nora a few times at social events, still playing the meek, delicate girl around men who came and went. As she aged and lost her looks, she set up a small stall to support herself. As for Ivan, he couldn't shake off his bad habits and turned to theft. He went in and out of jail multiple times. At 18, he messed with the wrong people, losing a hand and going blind. It was a lost cause. We hadn't driven them to ruins, and yet their lives turned out as such.